Hi, and welcome back to Just Another Stitch. For those that don't know me, my name is Connie, and if you're new to my channel, I'd like to welcome you. So today's video, I am going to be showing you how to make the Cup of Joy beanie. And this is the beanie right here. And then I also made it with this red and white colorway here. You have the option of adding a palm, or you can leave the palm off. But yeah, this is the beanie we're going to be making. So the supplies you will need to make the beanie, you will need, if you do it like I did, I used 2 different colors of yarn. So you're going to need a 4-weight yarn. I used Premier Anti-Pilling worsted yarn, which is a 4-weight, in the colorway Harbor. And this skein has, let's see, 153 yards, and I used about half the skein. And then I also used the same type of yarn in the colorway Spa, and again I used about half of this skein. So that is the yarn, but you can use whatever colors you want when you make this beanie. And then you're going to need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker to mark the beginning of your round, and a darning needle to weave in your ends. So let's get started. Okay, so first we are going to make a magic ring. So I am just going to make a loop like so, and I'm going to pinch where it connects, grab the yarn that connects to your skein, and just pull it through your loop like that. And I'm going to insert my hook here, and I am going to chain 1. And I'm going to tighten my ring up some. All right. Now grab your stitch marker to mark the beginning of your round. And we are going to do 12 double crochet stitches into the magic ring. So yarn over, go through your ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops remain, yarn over, go through 2 loops, 2 loops remain, yarn over, go through both loops. So that's 1. So yarn over, go through your loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops remain, yarn over, go through 2 loops, 2 loops remain, yarn over, go through both loops. All right, and then double crochet again. So that's 3. 4. 5, and just keep doing double crochet stitches until you have 12 double crochet stitches in the ring, and that is where we will meet back up. Okay, you should have 12 double crochet stitches into your ring, so you want to grab your end piece and tighten it like that. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch where the stitch marker is. So insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, and just pull through everything. Now we chain 1. All right, let's move our stitch marker. So for round 2, we're going to work 2 double crochet stitches into every stitch. So you will have 24 stitches at the end of round 2. All right, so let's double crochet in that first stitch. All right, there's one, and do a second double crochet into that same stitch. So that's 2. All right, now we do 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch. That's 1. And that's 2. All right, let's do it in the next one. 1 and 2. All right, and just keep going around and do 2 double crochet stitches in every stitch. And we will meet back up, and you should have 24 double crochet stitches for round 2. Okay, you should have 24 double crochet stitches. So you want to slip stitch into that first double crochet stitch at the beginning of the round. All right, and then you chain 1. All right, so for round 3, your repeat is 1 double crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the second stitch. And when you finish round 3, you will have 36 double crochet stitches. All right, so let's do 1 in the first stitch. All right, and then 2 in that second stitch. 1 and 2. All right, let's repeat. 1 double crochet into the next stitch. All right, and then 2 double crochets into the next. 1 2. Let's do it one more time. 1 double crochet into the next stitch. All right, 2 double crochets into the next. 1 and 2. And just keep repeating that all the way around. 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochet into the following stitch. And when we meet back up, you should have 36 double crochet stitches for round 3. Okay, you should now have 36 double crochets, and we are going to slip stitch into the first double crochet of the round and chain 1. And let's move our stitch marker. All right, so for round 4, the repeat is you're going to do 1 double crochet stitch in the first 2 stitches, and then the third stitch you're going to do 2 double crochet stitches. So let's double crochet into that first stitch, the stitch you just slip stitched into. All right, so that's your first one. Now go into the second stitch, work 1 double crochet stitch. And then go into the third stitch and work 2 double crochet stitches. All right, that's 1. Go back into that same stitch, work your second. All right, and that's your repeat. So let's work a double crochet into the next stitch. 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 double crochet stitches into the next. That's 1. Go back into that same stitch for your second one. All right, let's do this one more time. 1 double crochet into the next stitch. All right, 1 double crochet into the next stitch. All right, and then your next stitch, you do 2 double crochet stitches. All right, 1, and now the second one. All right, and you just keep repeating that around. 1 double crochet each into the next 2 stitches, and then the following stitch you put 2 double crochet stitches into. And when you finish this round, you will have 48 double crochet stitches. So we will meet back up there. Okay, you should now have 48 double crochet stitches. And in that last stitch, you should have done 2 double crochets. So now we're going to slip stitch into that very first double crochet stitch of the round and chain 1. All right, move your stitch marker. All right, so for round 5, you're going to do 1 double crochet stitch in the first 3 stitches, and then 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch. And when you finish this round, you will have 60 double crochet stitches. So double crochet into that very first stitch, the one you slip stitched into. All right, double crochet into the next stitch. Double crochet into the following stitch. All right, and then in the next stitch, you're going to do 2 double crochet stitches. So that's 1. Do another double crochet into that same stitch. And this is your repeat. All right, so again, double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. 1 double crochet into the following stitch. And then 1 double crochet in the next stitch. All right, and then the following stitch gets 2 double crochet stitches. That's 1, and then back in the same stitch, you do your second one. All right, so just keep doing that all the way around. 1 double crochet each into the next 3 stitches, and then the following stitch gets 2 double crochet stitches. And we'll meet back up once you have 60 double crochet stitches, and you will be ending with 2 double crochet stitches into your last stitch. So I'll see you there. Okay, you should have 60 double crochet stitches, and that last stitch you should have 2 double crochets in. All right, now we're going to slip stitch into that first double crochet stitch of the round. And then chain 1. All right, so for round 6 is the last increase round. All right, so round 6, The repeat is you're going to do 1 double crochet stitch into each one of the first 4 stitches, and then the 5th stitch you will have 2 double crochet stitches in. And I do want to apologize if you hear a background noise. It's almost the new year and people are doing fireworks right now, so that is what you're hearing. So I do apologize for that. All right, so that first stitch, we do 1 double crochet stitch in the very first stitch. All right, then the second stitch, we're going to do 1 double crochet. The third stitch gets 1 double crochet stitch. And then the fourth stitch also gets 1 double crochet stitch. All right, so in the next stitch, we're going to have 2 double crochet stitches. So that's 1. Now go back into that same stitch, do your second double crochet. And that is your repeat. Let's do it one more time to make sure you have it. Double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. All right, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. All right. All right, now we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And then the following stitch gets 1. All right, so that's your 4 stitches that get 1 double crochet stitch. The next stitch will get 2 double crochet stitches into it. So there's 1, go back into that same stitch and do your second double crochet stitch. And just keep doing this all the way around, and you will have 72 double crochet stitches at the end of this round. And your last stitch will have 2 double crochet stitches in it. We will meet back up there. Okay, you should have 72 double crochet stitches, and your last stitch should have 2 double crochet stitches into it. Now we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, the first double crochet stitch. You just slip stitch and then chain 1. So for round 7, this is a round of half double crochet stitches. So for the half double crochet, you yarn over, go through that very first stitch, the one you just slip stitched into. Yarn over, pull up a loop. 3 loops remain. Yarn over, go through all 3 loops. All right, let's do that again. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops remain. Yarn over, go through all 3 loops. And you just do this in every single stitch around. And when you finish this round, you will have 72 half double crochet stitches. And that is where we are going to meet back up. Okay, you should have 72 half double crochet stitches. So we're going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet stitch and chain 1. Let's move our stitch marker. All right, let's see. We are on round 8. All right, so for round 8, we are going to be doing a round of half double crochet stitches into the third loop. So I want to make sure you know where to work into. All right, here's your first stitch here. You have your front loop, which is the loop facing you. And then the back loop is the loop furthest away. And your stitch kind of looks like a little heart. So if you bend it back, you are going to see a bore behind that back loop. And this is what we're going to be working into. See on the next stitch right here. You see that bore? This is the third stitch's bore and the fourth stitch. So that is what you're working into. All right. So you yarn over. All right, you find that bore right here. It's that bore behind the stitch in the back. The first one can kind of be tricky to find. You yarn over, pull through that bore, yarn over, go through the loops. All right. And like I said, we're working in that bore. You got the front loop right here. Well, let me get it. All right, that's the front loop. This is your back loop. The whole thing is your stitch. And if you bend it back, you see that bore right here behind the stitch? That's what we're working into. That's your third loop. All right, so yarn over, go through that third loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through all three loops. Again, yarn over, go through that third loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop. 3 loops. Yarn over, go through all 3 loops. It's worked just like a half double crochet stitch, but you're going into that third loop. And like I said, if you fold it down like this, I find it makes it easier to find that third loop. So yarn over, go through that third loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, or pull up, you know what I mean. Yarn over, go through all 3. All right, let's do it a couple of more times. Yarn over, go through that third loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. All right, one more time. Yarn over, go through that third loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops remain, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. All right, so you're going to do this all the way around, but only do 71 stitches. We're going to work that last stitch together because we're going to be changing colors on the next round. So work 71 half double crochet stitches into the third loop. Leave 1 stitch remaining and we'll meet back up there. Okay, you should have 71 half double crochet stitches in the third loop with 1 stitch remaining. And I want to show you, if you look, this is how the stitch looks. You see how you have that raised row? So that's how your beanie should look. Okay, we have 71 half double crochet stitches into the third loop. And we're coming to that last stitch. And we're going to be changing colors on the last step of that last stitch. So yarn over, go through that third loop right here. yarn over, and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops remaining. All right, so you're going to want to cut your yarn of your first color. I already did mine. Now we're going to grab our second color. We're going to wrap it around our hook. And you just lay it on top like this. And your end piece is on this side. Okay? And I like to pinch it, and then you pull the new color through those 3 loops like that. Okay? Now, we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch of the round and chain 1. All right, let me pull that tighter. Okay, so now we are going to start round 9. And this is where things will get a little different, but it's very easy. We're going to be doing the Suzette stitch. All right. So for round 9, in the very first stitch, the stitch you slip stitched into, we are going to be working both a single crochet stitch and a double crochet stitch in that first stitch. So go through the stitch. All right, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. Now we're going to go back into that same stitch and do a double crochet stitch. So yarn over, go into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, and go through both loops. All right. So the next stitch, we are going to skip. So we skip the next stitch. And now we're going to start the repeat of the round. So in the 3rd stitch of the round, we will be working both a single crochet and double crochet stitch into. So go into that stitch, single crochet. Now we're going to double crochet in that same stitch. Then you're going to skip the next stitch, and that is your repeat. So you're going to work a single crochet and double crochet into the following stitch after your skipped stitch. So there's your single crochet, and then double crochet back into that same stitch. All right, skip the next stitch, then work a single crochet into the following stitch, and a double crochet back into that same stitch. It's very easy. And your stitch count at the end of this round will still be 72 stitches. All right, so skip the next stitch, work a single crochet into the following stitch, and then go back into that same stitch and work a double crochet stitch. Okay, and then skip the next stitch, work a single crochet stitch into the following stitch. Oops, my hand slipped. And then go back in that same stitch, work a double crochet stitch. Okay. And then you skip the next stitch. And you keep doing this all the way around. The following stitch gets both a single crochet and a double crochet in the same stitch. You skip the next stitch. And you do this all the way around. So when you get to the end of the round, you're going to skip the last stitch of the round. So the stitch before will have both a single crochet and a double crochet stitch. And that's where we're going to meet back up. And I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, we are at the end of round 9. And as you notice, I did a single crochet and double crochet into the second to last stitch. Now I'm going to place a stitch marker in that last stitch, the double crochet stitch. And you'll see why in just a minute. And you notice there's one stitch left. We skipped that stitch. All right, and now we're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch of the round. All right, now we're starting round 10. Round 10 is a repeat row. You are going to be doing round 10 a total of 8 times. I'm going to do the first round of it with you and the second round. And then I'll let you work the remainder rounds on your own. So round 10 is the repeat round. So we're going to chain 1. And this is where something I want to stress. You got to turn your work at the beginning of the rounds. Do not forget to turn. All right. So I'm going to leave both these stitch markers like I have them. And I'm working the beginning of the round. So in the stitch that you slip stitched into, which is the stitch where I have the blue stitch marker right here, this is the stitch we're going to work into first. So we're going to do a single crochet and a double crochet into that stitch. So single crochet and now double crochet in that same stitch. Okay, you can remove your stitch marker there, which is my blue one. The yellow one is the one that marks my beginning of round now. All right. So you have your slip stitch and your chain 1 in this area here, which is why I wanted a stitch marker in that last stitch of the round. So this stitch here we're going to skip, the one with the red stitch marker. All right, you go into the following stitch and you work a single crochet and a double crochet, both in that same stitch. You're basically doing the same thing that you did on the previous round. All right, so I'm going to remove my red stitch marker now. I just find that's a little trick to kind of help make sure you know where to work your stitches when you start the round. All right. So one thing I do want to point out on round 10 and all the repeats of round 10, the stitch you skip is actually always the previous row's double crochet stitch. And then the stitch that you work your single crochet and double crochet into is your single crochet stitch from the previous round. So I just wanted to point that out to you. So we skip the next stitch, which is the double crochet stitch, and then we work a single crochet and a double crochet stitch into the following stitch. And that was the single crochet from the previous round. All right. But if you can't tell the difference in your stitches yet, just know that you skip one stitch, then you work a single crochet and double crochet stitch into the following stitch. All right. All right. So skip the next stitch, go into the following stitch, single crochet, and then double crochet into that same stitch. Like I said, it's basically the same exact thing. You skip the next stitch, go into the following stitch, work a single crochet, and then work a double crochet into the same stitch. All right, let's do this one more time. Skip the next stitch, go into the following stitch, work a single crochet, and a double crochet into the same stitch. Then you skip the next stitch, work a single crochet, double crochet into the following stitch, skip the next stitch, and you just keep doing that all the way around. And the round's going to end the same way. You'll have one stitch left over at the end of the round that you skip. So when you get to the end of the round, we'll meet back up there, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, we are at the end of round 10, and I am going to place my red stitch marker on that last double crochet stitch. And again, you skip the following stitch and you slip stitch into the first stitch of the round where the yellow stitch marker is. All right, so we have now completed round 10. And I'm going to start you off on round 11. But for round 10, we're going to be repeating it 7 more times. So when we meet back up, you should have finished round 17. All right, so we chain 1 and turn our work. Like I said, do not forget to turn when you start the rounds. All right, you put your stitch marker to mark the beginning of your round. All right, in the stitch that you slip stitched into, which is the stitch that I have my yellow stitch marker, you're going to be doing both a single crochet stitch and a double crochet stitch into that stitch. So here's my single crochet, and now I'm going to double crochet. Okay, I'm going to remove my yellow stitch marker. All right. So you're going to skip the stitch where I have my red stitch marker. Go into the following stitch and work a single crochet. And in that same stitch, work a double crochet stitch. And I'm going to remove the red stitch marker. All right. You skip the next stitch. You go into the following stitch, work a single crochet, and in that same stitch, work a double crochet. Skip the following stitch, go into the next stitch, work a single crochet, and then a double crochet in that stitch. And you just keep repeating this all the way around. Skip the next stitch, work a double you skip the next stitch, then you work a single crochet and a double crochet in the following stitch. Skip the next stitch, go into the following stitch, work a single crochet stitch and a double crochet both in the same stitch. And you do that all the way around. You skip your last stitch, slip stitch into your first stitch, chain one, turn. And then you just keep repeating this. And like I said, you do this round 7 more times, including the round we started. That includes this round. So when we meet back up, you will be at the end of round 17. And the last stitch that you work your single crochet and double crochet stitch into, we will be working that stitch together, those stitches together, because on the following round, round 18, we incorporate the first color back into the beanie. So we will meet there once you're at the end of round 17. I'll see you there. Okay, we're at towards the end of round 17. So we're going to skip the next stitch, and then in the following stitch, we're going to work both a single crochet stitch and a double crochet stitch. So here's our single crochet, and now we're going to start the double crochet in that same stitch, but the last step, we're going to go back to incorporating your first color of the beanie, which is the color you did at the top. All right, so we yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops, and you have your 2 loops remaining. And at this point, you'll need to cut your yarn, which I already did. All right, now I'm going to grab my first color, wrap it around my hook, and finish the stitch off. All right, so now we are going to slip, well, first off, we skip the next stitch, and we slip stitch into that first stitch of the round where my stitch marker is. And then you chain 1. All right, I'm going to give my end pieces a good tug because they're loose. All right, so for round 18, we are going to be doing a round of half double crochet stitches. And this is something that I forgot to do the first time we changed colors, but that's okay because I can just weave in the ends the normal way to weave in your ends for that. But this is a little trick that I've learned, and I utilize it when I can, because you won't have as many ends to weave in at the end of a project. All right, so we're going to yarn over, go through that first stitch that you slip stitched into, and I'm going to take my 2 end pieces and just lay them on top the crochet hook like this. All right, you yarn over, you pull through the yarn end pieces that you're carrying, and you go through the stitch. And you have 3 loops. Yarn over, go through all 3 loops. And you just keep doing that. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, carry your end pieces on top, yarn over, pull through those end pieces in the stitch, 3 loops, yarn over, go through all 3 stitches. And you just keep doing that. And I'm going to get to where I finish weaving in the end pieces. A lot of times I like to do this for about 10 stitches to make sure it's well weaved in. It doesn't have to be 10, but that's what I aim for. And I don't think it's going to make quite 10 stitches, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to cut my end pieces now. And you see, you won't have to weave in those ends when you finish the beanie. All right, so yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops remain, yarn over, go through the loops. And just keep doing that all the way around. And we will meet back up at the end of round 18. Okay, we are at the end of round 18. So we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch where the the stitch marker is. We slip stitch and chain 1. So for round 19, we are going to be doing half double crochet into the 3rd loop again. And I just want to refresh your memory that the 3rd loop, you bend your work like this. And right here, that's your first 3rd loop. Here's your 3rd loop. Here's your 3rd loop. Here's your 3rd loop. And if you notice, the stitch itself has the V or like a heart shape. And you just kind of bend it back and you'll see that bore right under. And that's what we're working the half double crochet stitches into. All right. All right, let's move the stitch marker. That would help. Okay, so yarn over, go into that 3rd loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops remain, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. Again, yarn over, go into the 3rd loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. And we just keep doing this all the way around. And I love the texture of working into the 3rd loop. But yeah, just keep doing this and we'll meet back up when you get to the end of the round. Okay, we are at the end of round 19. So we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch of the round where the stitch marker is and chain 1. And let's move our stitch marker. So for round 20 through 22, all 3 of those rounds will be a round of single crochet. So we're going to be doing 3 rounds of single crochet. So you go into the same stitch you slip stitched into, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops remain, yarn over, go through both loops. Again, you go through the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops remain, yarn over, go through both loops. Oops, I'm trying to yarn over. All right, there's no yarn over there. Go in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops remain, yarn over, go through both loops. And you just keep doing this all the way around. When you get to the end of the round, you slip stitch into the first stitch of the round and chain 1. And then you'll do 2 more rounds. So you'll have a total of 3 rounds of single crochet. So when we meet back up, you should be at the end of round 22. I'll see you there. Okay, one thing I do want to mention, and this is an option that you can do for this beanie. For round 22, you could do a round of slip stitches all the way around. That is initially how I wrote up this pattern, but a lot of that depends on the size of your head, your tension. So whenever I was having this beanie tested, some of my testers mentioned that they found it too tight with the round of slip stitches. So I changed the last round to a round of single crochet. But if you find the beanie is loose on you, then I would suggest doing a round of slip stitches for your last round. But anyways, we are at the end of round 22. So I am going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. And I am going to cut my yarn, leave a long enough tail to weave in your ends. And I'm fastening off, which just pull it all the way through. All right, now we're going to weave in the ends. All right. I'm taking my darning needle and I'm threading it. And I love these darning needles with the loop on top. These are my favorite darning needles. All right, so I'm just gonna go through some stitches. Make sure your needle does not go through the front of the hat when you're doing this. All right. And then I'm going to work back in the opposite direction. And then go back there, the original direction. All right, and then I'm going to cut. And you just do this for all your end pieces. And once you have all your end pieces weaved in, we will meet back up. All right. You should now have all your ends weaved in, and now I'm going to turn the hat back to the correct side, and we have finished the Cup of Joy beanie. So I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial, and if you make this beanie, I'd love to see it. Let me know. You can email pictures of the beanie to justanotherstitch2020@gmail.com. Also, I want to know, is this a beanie that you're planning to make? Let me know in the comments. So, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. So now it's time to leave the keyword for the giveaway that I have going on for the month of February in 2025. It's called Love is in the Air. Some of you may be watching this tutorial after the giveaway ends. But as I'm filming this, this is the current giveaway that I have going on. So the key word is teddy bear. And I'm going to pick 5 people randomly. And each of those 5 people will each get 5 extra entries into February's giveaway. So again, the word is teddy bear. One word, just like I have it on the screen. Make sure autocorrect doesn't change it on you. So teddy bear is a keyword, and I'm going to pick 5 people randomly. Each of those 5 people will get 5 extra entries into this giveaway. So I hope y'all all have a fabulous rainy day. Bye, everyone.